And welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. I'm going to kick things off now. It's been a minute. Been away on holiday, as many of you know. I'm going to give everyone a chance to come in at the moment. I'm also going to let everyone know we're starting. If you can press that boost button on the screen, I will say it now. Press the boost button there. Ask me a question throughout the stream. I'm going to cover a lot today. And of course, my free training is underneath. You'll learn a lot if you grab it. It's absolutely free. So where do we find ourselves? Well, we find ourselves in an interesting spot amongst many pairs, and I really, really would suggest planning carefully what you're going to do. The reason being is because when you get such vicious falls on various pairs, many of which we've got to go over, um, you know, it's just a time where you don't want to be over leveraging. You don't want to be taking too many trades in one packet. And you just want to think about what you're doing. Mostly my Academy members will know that I'm sending out another video today. It's going to cover a lot on handling these types of markets in the way I do, which is hedging to mitigate loss. I've started hedging various pairs to rack up profits on the short side of the market, basically, so I can mitigate any loss that is building. And I do that nice and early with a very early drawdown limit, so I'm not getting exposed. So I'm just going to let everyone come in for a second. I've emailed out. Okay, I've let everyone know we're going. I will just tell them again. And then we'll go ahead. Thanks to those who wished me a happy holiday. It wasn't a ceremonial holiday. It was just a trip to the Lake District in England. It's a place I often go with my family. It's really nice. If you know what it looks like, I'm sure you'll agree. If you've been there, I'm sure you'll agree as well. Basically, lots of mountains, lots of trees. And when I say mountains, we're talking 1,000 meters and under. I'm sure many of you live in areas where there are much bigger mountains, but in the UK, that's the best we get. It's not exactly a mountainous country. You get a few in Scotland, I believe, but I don't go there too often. So more people are coming in. If you are coming in on this Monday morning live London session with myself, Will Sebastian, welcome. If you haven't met me, I'm a pro multi-asset data trader. I trade everything, FX, commodities, stocks, mainly stock indexes is what I specialise in, but I do trade everything in the same way. Good morning from Belgium, Mattia. I've seen you a few times. Welcome. I know you're not on board my academy, but it's good to see you paying attention. So welcome aboard. If you haven't pressed the like, guys, press the boost now for me. That'd be fantastic. It pushes me up the ranks. I get people and more people. So someone asked me about gold this morning. I will start on gold because I made many calls on it. You can see it on my editor's pick. It's got like 50,000 views or something like that. Basically, you will know for a long time I championed this to come lower. I said it's going to fall. It's going to fall and it's going to do it within the trajectory you've seen. And that's exactly what's occurred. I called it short, I called it short, and I called it short. So if you kept shorting it every time it popped, well done, you followed correctly, you made money. I also said, okay, and I'm going to drop to my 4 hour because I've called it practically exactly as it happened. I said it's going to get to 1872 area. I made that call and then I said, look, exit it because it's seeing very early resistance and hopefully you get out. So you would have made money right there. Then, as many of you will know, I called it months back to get to 1858, weeks, weeks at least, if not maybe 1 or 2 months. Hello in the chat box, great to see you. I called it here as well. I said get long, okay, right there. Many of you will know I called it for ages, and boom, what happens? It just touches 1858, just, and then it goes all the way up here. And guess what I said? Get out. Okay, I said lock in profits. I said lock in gains. What I meant by that was if you've got a stop underneath where your price has come up, you'll be out for profit if the price keeps going down. So you would have taken profit there. So there was 3 instances where I called it exactly as it occurred, right? So If you've made money all three of the times, well done. You're now looking for what's next. Now, some of you have already entered in long. Okay. I did update my post yesterday, and I said I think you'll get to 1838, 1839. If you read that in the updates, you'll see it. And I still hold that bias. I think you'll get slightly lower on this, and I think what's going to happen is everything to the left over here is going to form the basis for support and to the upside. That's what I am looking for. You're coming to your 200 MA. I don't think you're going to get there just yet. I think the price is going to stop for a minute and move around, and your MA will change. But called it 3 times, and we got it absolutely right. Great. And it was always going to come down, because if you look at this, okay, well, I'm not saying it's guaranteed or it was ever guaranteed, but the point is, if you're trading with the trend, then things get a lot easier. And guess what you're going to do when it comes up here? Short again, and you're going to trade with that trend. It's easier to swim alongside the water. Okay, and I mentioned my tea because there's various accents in here, I'm sure. It's better to swim with the current than to swim against it. Okay, because markets naturally move in a cycle of trend. That's fact. You can't get away from that. It's fact. So you'll naturally put your odds of success up if you trade in trends. And of course, I teach that in my academy along with various other rules to make sure that you're trading with the natural market trajectory. What moves that market naturally? What always has and always will. So I would only short back up here. I'm not interested really. You could lightly short if we get back to early resistance about 1883, where you previously exited your longs or you locked in gains. Nonetheless, I wouldn't short really until you get a good push up back in line with this trend. And that is my bias for gold. So long, slightly lower. I think you're going to trickle. I can't see anything strong on your time frames. You're almost there anyway. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt to get in at 1839 in my opinion. Okay, and I think that's ideal. Not seeing a massive reaction yet, but there isn't a lot of news this morning. So that's gold. Just check the time, 7 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So if you're coming in, welcome. Great to see you. I know if you're already here, you would have heard me say that. But if you do, press the like button and do ask me a question in the chat box. I can't see any questions in there just yet. If you can ask me one, whatever it is, that's fine. Tap the like button. My free training is underneath, as you can see from the banner. So that's gold. I've got AUD dollar, I've got New Zealand dollar, Euro dollar, pound dollar. I would prefer to focus the time on the pound and the euro because they're much more heavily traded in this instance, and you've got a lot going on. So I'm going to do that today. So many of you know, and I'm going to go on my weekly for this, many of you know that within these enormous falls, okay, it's a long way in a fairly short period of time, you know that, most of you know that I like to scale in and accumulate prices over time via DCA. The reason why I do that is because if you'd used a stop loss here, you would have been wrong, you would have been wrong and wrong. That's why I don't use them, because there is always going to be a time where the market variance, as I call it, and I'm going to do a video on this for my members later, market variance stretches such that if you're using a stop, you'll get stopped and stopped and stopped and stopped. So what I'd rather do is what traders do all outside of trading online, and people in my academy and myself do this online, but it's accumulating prices over time. Because there's a lot of times where, well, in real life, you can't just make a stop loss, can you? If you're a shop, okay, buying goods, or you're a supermarket buying goods, there isn't a stop loss, okay? You can't just stop the loss on what you bought. You've got to sell it again to get some money back. That is your stop loss. And that's all I do in the same way, because you could have a supermarket. If this wasn't the pound against US dollar, it could be potatoes, for example. They buy their potatoes as the price comes down, and then they sell them as the price comes up. Or if not, it would be goods that don't go off. Okay, canned goods or electronic goods, stuff like that. But the point is, everyone buys for less. And I don't particularly believe using a stop losses, but you can see a lot of people have left the string. They're not interested. If it doesn't involve a stop loss, it's, oh my word, what am I going to do? And it's panic. But it's far better to trade that way because all you need to do is drop your size and you need to hedge accordingly. Okay, and by hedge accordingly, I mean short things like this, take the money there and close out the long you got wrong up here. Okay, which is exactly what I'm doing and have done for years. So, what do I think at the moment of the pound dollar? Like I said, I'm hedging lightly across all these pairs to accumulate hedge gains. I don't think you're going to pop up just yet. I can't see the strength in it. It was a good place to get long. I did say 1215. So again, if you'd used a stop loss, you would have been out. If you didn't use a stop loss, you would have caught the pop. Okay, so there's many times where a stop loss is actually more disadvantageous, and that's a really good thing to remember. Stop losses can make you lose more money in many instances. So just be careful of that. Don't fall into the religion where, you have to use a stop loss or you can't trade. It's just not true. But you have to do it with plans. Don't go off here, don't try this at home, is my disclaimer. If you go off here and you try and trade without a stop loss, just on what I've said, it's unlikely to work. You need plans, okay? So it's not financial advice. Just be careful with that. So the question comes, where do I like it long again? Well, if you did take it long at this point, I would be out on the push and I would look to relong nearer to 120. There's a few levels of support which are ideal, but really the thing for me is coming from this high, right, which was 1314, and it's taken you that point, you would have come down 8.5%. And in that time period, it's been, say you get there this week, it's 2nd of October from the 10th of July. Okay, so you're going on to 3 months of down move. That's a very long way to not have a push up. If you look over here, okay, it's quite rare that you get more than 3 months without at least some kind of push at some point. All right. So just be wary of that. Even at this point, 1st of August to the 1st of October, or about where we were last year, you still get that push eventually. So just coming straight down is worse pretty much than you've seen for a long time. In terms of how many red candles in a row, I mean, if you exclude that one green one, because it does more or less just continue down anyway, okay, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're on your 12th red candle in a row. If you zoom out and scroll back, where did you last have 12 red candles in a row? Okay, is it around here? It's not even there. In other words, it's rare. And because it's rare, when it does happen, you need to be able to trade with that variance of the market, with that market stretch, because it's going to happen eventually. And using a stop loss is not ideal. It won't work. And many of you who are watching have found that. You're probably using stop losses, you're still not making money trading, and it's a big problem. So that's why I teach people more or less. But back to what I was talking about, I like it long near a 1204. I'm going to publish my hedge plans to my members in my private academy. I'm going to film my hedging plans, the way I'm dealing with these falls. So just be aware of that if you are a paid member of mine. If you're not, then go ahead and get on board. So you've got a similar situation on New Zealand dollar, but again, look at this. There isn't even a green candle. It's so far down in one go. You cannot be shorting it. You can't. You just can't. In my book, it's not a good idea at all. You could scale in slightly more lower, 1037. At the moment, I'm just looking to hedge. If I was in it, I'm not in the New Zealand dollar heavily. I'm trading other pairs because I'm starting to conflict if I trade this too much. And at the moment, you can't see much impetus for it, similar to your other pairs. But having said that, I wouldn't be surprised if you do get up here. I think it's slightly different to your other pairs. I think you'll get back to your 20 MA there. And AUD dollar, this is great for hedging as a scalper. Okay, I think you'll go like this. I don't think you're going to get much on there. So you could trade it intraday long, I guess. AUD, I'm not too interested in. I've done a lot of posts on it. Go and watch them because it covers what you need to know practically. The FTSE I shorted this morning. I exited longs for very minor gains. I like the FTSE short a lot for intraday gains. I think you might fall later, in my opinion, and I think you'll come down where you were. I don't think there's strength to the upside. You've got way too many problems in this country, economically, politically. It's getting worse as well. Don't mean to scare anyone who lives here, but you can just open up the news. You can see no one likes the Tories. The Tories are doing this, doing that. It's just carnage. So I think if you were going to push higher, you would have done it by now. That doesn't look good to me. You're pushing on early MAs. I think you're going to come down. Anyone who's interested in what I think about the FTSE, I'm usually quite accurate on it, so it's up to you. Euro dollar, don't know if I think I just did, didn't I? Hang on a minute. We're on the weekly. You're straight down again. I think I would prefer to get long 1037 on this. I'm not interested in the low here. That's where I would just let it run to. Hedge plans, like I said, I'm going to publish for those who've got my hedging strategy. Dollar yen is simple. Look where you last fell. Look how far you fell. I called that exactly. I've got it on my profile. There's an editor's pick there. Look at your stochastic oscillator. Look how far you've come up. Why would you not want to short it? Okay? Do it carefully. Don't sell your house and get short. It's not what I'm interested in doing. Okay? I am interested in shorting at these highs and spreading my positions out lightly. Okay? I only trade yens light. And I press I spread myself a lot because you can get long rallies and long falls. It's a lot more dangerous to trade. It's because of the value of the currency. Dollar Swiss, I'm not too interested in either. I don't know if anyone else is. I don't think you're going to fall much from here. I think you'll get it higher up near those key MAs and into a key resistance, 0.9375. S&P, I called this short many times, did a bunch of videos on it. I did everything on this. If you shorted it, great, you've made money. I said to exit down here. If you did it, well done. Pretty much the same process. I think you'll get lower again. I think it's much like other indexes, like the FTSE. I think you'll come under, and I think accordingly, that is going to be your area of support that you refer to. There's lumps of it on the left. Okay, you've seen it all before. That is where I like it long. In the very long term, if you've seen my post and you've seen how I have a short bias on the S&P, that is referring to the very, very long term. Okay, I think in the long term you will come down a lot more forcefully, but I like to trade not on a yearly basis. I don't hold trades for years unless they're stocks. I trade the market as it is at the time, in stages, as many of you will know. So I'm sure if you're just coming in, I haven't refreshed it yet, that's why the boosts aren't as high, but if you press that boost button, ask me a question in the chat box. If you want to do it in the Discord or DM me it on Discord, you can do that as well. Some guys do that. Looking at your other yen pairs, okay, your euro yen's losing steam here, but it's not falling to the downside as well. You've got to remember, if you've got a FX pair or anything really that looks like this, yes, it's losing steam to the upside, but it's also got no steam to the downside. Okay, you can see that because the price isn't falling. So I would say, much like your other pairs, it's still a light short, and I still like it lightly short up at this point. Okay. If you beat the next high, it wouldn't shock me. I would leave a good run up to 165 to add, but the problem is, for people who think it's long, is that and that. You are miles off now. You are miles away. You have to come back. Tell me a time where the price has not come back to the MAs. Never. Doesn't happen. Okay. So just bear that in mind. Euro yen, dollar yen, all of it. I think you're going to get lower. The New Zealand pairs are quite interesting. I've taken gains on various sides of this. I think your pound New Zealand and your euro New Zealand are going to come lower. Okay, I don't think this is going to last particularly. It did bounce right off this key MA, your 40, leave. Yeah, that's your 40. I think you'll get under it. I hedged this morning. I've hedged short and very lightly. I think you'll come lower under here. Okay, so I'll further DCA lower, work my way with that trade. But it's long underneath that low, not yet. I like it long further down. And pound New Zealand is exactly the same. That doesn't hold much strength to me. You haven't quite hit your 40 MA. I think you'll get underneath again. I think ultimately I am going to scale in nearer 201 or 2008 is ideal for me. That's where I like it long again. Okay, so you've got to be wary of the variance of the market. You've got to understand that the market can keep drifting, in other words, but you need to take the opportunity when the market has drifted for a significant period of time. Because when it does that, that is really when you're going to get those good market value prices. In other words, you're going to get prices where you've come much lower than you have before. You can see, for example, on your pound New Zealand, again, I called it short in about 5 different videos. I filmed loads of them. You can see there's one there as well. I called it short entirely, 216 short, and you've gone an enormous way now, a very, very long way. Okay, look, there you go. So you should be out of your shorts. In other words, I definitely wouldn't be selling your New Zealand pairs. Okay, I would be short New Zealand dollar. I'd be long pound New Zealand, euro New Zealand, but I do think you'll get away with holding off for future longs, letting the market move down slightly. Don't think you need to rush in at this point at all. So yeah, unless anyone's got any questions, I think that covers basically everything. And that's what I'm looking at in October. I'll probably do more, but if you don't have my concrete plans, you probably will struggle. You need what works. You cannot guess in the markets. It just does not work as a good strategy. Okay. I can't see any questions, and I've gone over a lot. If you can, smash that like button, guys. And if you want to leave me a question, do it. Press the like button. Free trainings underneath. Go to my Discord, and change your trading today. And of course, I'll see you in the next one. See you there, guys.